Hi, I'm Alan Sagano. I'm the president of ADS Consulting Group, and today's troubleshooting is how to find a problem very quickly when you're troubleshooting any problem in IT. And if you've been in IT for any more than 5 seconds, you know that at least some of your time is dedicated to troubleshooting. When things break, we fix it. That's what we do, right? So it becomes very important to be able to troubleshoot and fix problems very, very quickly. Probably one of the major tenets of troubleshooting is to make sure that you can find where the problem is. Sounds pretty obvious, but locating or isolating the problem very, very quickly allows you to fix the problem. You actually have to know where the problem is in order to fix it first. So the way that I teach my coworkers to do this is kind of razz them a little bit and say, hey, make a bet proposition with them and say, hey, would you bet me that I could guess a number between 1 and 128 in 7 or fewer guesses? Would you take that bet? Do you think I could do it? Do you not think I could do it? Well, if you use what's called a binary search, it's actually pretty easy to do in 7 or fewer guesses because 2 to the 7th power is 128, so therefore you should only need 7 guesses to find any number between 1 and 128. So essentially what you do, the algorithm here, or the way to do it, is you essentially keep repeatedly dividing the problem in half until you find the answer. So here's an example that I have. So let's just assume for a second, hopefully this will show up on the camera, that the answer is 19, if you can see that. So the first question is it higher or lower than 128? And the answer would be, well, it's lower. So the first cut that I do, and the reason why I pick, the first number that I pick is 64 because I divide 128 by 64, and that's half of 128 is 64, right? So essentially what I'm doing is I keep dividing the number in half repeatedly until I get to the answer. So the first cut is it higher or lower, the number higher or lower than 64? The answer is it's lower. Okay, so then I divide by 32, which is where the divide by column comes from. So first question, higher or lower than 64, lower, so then I divide by 32, or subtract 32. So 64 less 32 is 32, so that's my next cutoff point. Is it higher or lower than 32? The answer is it's lower. So then I take that in half, and so my next cutoff is 16. So then the next question is it higher or lower than 16? The answer is it's higher. So then half of 16 is 8. I add 16 to 8. Higher or lower than 24? The answer is lower. Then I take 4. As you can see here, we keep dividing the problem in half. And then higher or lower than 20? And the answer then would be, well, it's lower, so then I subtract 2. Higher or lower than 18, and the answer is higher, and it has to be 19, because it's right in the middle, right? It's between 18 and 20. And this is actually a worst case scenario. If you pick a power of 2, then you can find the answer even faster. So that is a very important skill set to have. You have to know where the problem resides in order to fix it. So to take that in the real world example that I use is, let's say you're working on a service desk and you get a call, I can't get out to the internet. Okay, well that could be 5 million things, right? Could be a WAN line down, could be a firewall problem, could be a DNS problem, could be a network disconnected from the workstation problem, could be a blah blah blah, could be a yada yada yada. So, in other words, now this is where you have to go from the example I just showed you to real world, kind of knowing a little bit about the environment. So in other words, where is that 64 line? In other words, how would you cut that problem in half to determine what's the first question to ask? And I'm still shocked even to this day, even some seasoned IT pros that kind of struggle with this first question. So maybe after you know this video, you'll just know it and you'll be able to get it. Maybe somebody else will ask it on a job interview and you'll be able to get that answer. So the first question that I would ask is, in other words, that first cutting the problem in half is it just you, or is it more than one person? In other words, is it just you that can't get out to the internet? Now, obviously, if it's more than one person, maybe the help desk starts lighting up like a Christmas tree. Okay, that's pretty obvious. But if it's just one person, maybe they got in early and we're not really sure yet where the problem resides, I would ask, Is it just you? Or is it more than one person? Does it affect more than one person? If the answer is, oh, it's just me, then I would focus on things that are specific to that workstation, right? The switch, the cabling, the IP address, DNS entries, blah, blah, blah. Something that's specific, network hard drivers, acts of God, who knows, sunspots. But I'm going to focus on stuff that's specific to that workstation. If the answer is, seems to be more than just me, it's actually, Dave and Jane and Eric and Steve and whatever, us all can't seem to get it, then I start focusing on things that affect more than one workstation, like the firewall. Again, switch can affect more than one person. The WAN connection itself, rules on the firewall, in other words, global things that affect more than one person. At least that way you know where to start looking. You don't go tearing down, and I see this happen a lot. They just tear down and just go, and they're just, I'm like, man, you're not even in the ballpark. You're not even in left field. You're not even in the parking lot of the ballpark. You need to stop, slow your roll, and go back and reevaluate and ask the right questions. So if you can nail that, trust me, what sounds better? I have no idea where the problem is, assuming you can't just put your finger on it, or I've narrowed the problem somewhere between the router and the switch, between this area here, because I went through the troubleshooting steps. So at least somebody that's going to be at a level 2 or level 3 technician is going to know that you at least did your due diligence to try to solve the problem. So try to put that tip. It's a simple tip. It's something that I drill into all my employees because it really does help with your troubleshooting skills. So that's our tip of the day. If you like this content, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.